Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Bill is off tonight. A U.S. Supreme Court decision is expected by midnight regarding access to the abortion medication mifepristone. The Supreme Court consideration of this case began after a conservative Texas judge suspended FDA approval of the drug earlier this month. A federal appeals court panel then proceeded to block that ruling while still imposing restrictions on allowing the drug to be sent through the mail. The Supreme Court decision was originally planned for release on Wednesday, but was delayed to later tonight to further weigh the arguments. Mifepristone is the most common abortion method across the country, and this decision could potentially affect millions of women's access to abortions. Abortions are banned here in Wisconsin, but Brittany Schmidt tells us why this decision still has an impact in the state.
Dr. Kristen Lyerly is a women's health provider who practiced in Wisconsin and is currently in Minnesota.
Mifepristone is a medication that we use to not only provide abortion care, but in Wisconsin, since we're not providing abortion care, we use it to manage miscarriages.
According to Mayo Clinic, about 10 to 20% of known pregnancies end in a miscarriage, also medically known as a spontaneous abortion. Mifepristone is the first medication used in a non-surgical abortion. If the drug is no longer accessible, Dr. Lyerly says women in Wisconsin will have fewer treatment options for a miscarriage.
That means that they will have to potentially take additional doses of medication, which causes additional pain, additional bleeding, additional fear and uncertainty, and maybe even a surgery down the road. Additional expenses. They may need to take more time away from work, more time away from their family.
More than 5 million people have used the FDA-approved drug since 2000, including Wisconsinite Jody Webb. She says she needed the drug herself to treat a miscarriage.
Only having my options as something that is invasive or something that may not work, I think that would make me feel that my basic health care rights are not there or completely eliminated.
The doctor group involved in the lawsuit against the FDA's approval of mifepristone argues they've seen severe complications.
The FDA has ignored the warnings from our clients about these drugs.
The ruling on mifepristone does not have any impact on Plan B, a well-known contraceptive. In Green Bay, Brittany Schmidt, Action 2 News.
Funeral